And welcome to this special edition of the Factor Uncensored. We're coming to you from the Georgia Brown Convention Center in downtown Houston, where the National Urban League's conference is underway. Now you ask, what is the Urban League? Well, it was an organization that started in New York City back in 1910. One of the big five back then, civil rights organization. We caught up with the man who's leading that organization right now. It is Mark Morial, a Louisiana native.
So we're on purpose with a party as we have and stop censoring our books and trying to rewrite.
Welcome to Houston. You're going to have, I assume, a great convention here, right?
We are planning to have the best Urban League conference in our history. I don't think we could have chosen a better city. Mayor Turner, Judson Robinson, the community, business, faith, labor, the leadership community has really opened their arms, and we've got, I think, 3 days planned of great activations. One thing I want to highlight is Family and Community Day on Saturday right here at the George Brown Convention Center. We're throwing the doors open to the community. We have backpacks to help our young people go back to school. We've got a jobs fair, a college fair, a tech zone. We've got something for everybody in the family. So
sounds comprehensive.
It is comprehensive. It is wide. It is varied, and it's going to be a lot of fun with great purpose.
Now, what will be your focus here at this convention? What are the issues that you're tackling?
So this is important. We are going to send a message to Governor Abbott and the Texas State Legislature. Number one, get your hands off of the Houston Independent School District. Number two, stop this voter suppression effort, this book ban effort, this anti-LGBTQ effort. Texas, Houston has made great progress under Mayor Turner, and Houston is a beacon in the state of Texas. But the direction of Texas on voting rights, the direction of Texas on African American history, the direction of Texas when it comes to democracy is something we will speak to during this conference. So while we have a focus to make sure that people are enriched, to make sure that people are part of important discussions about jobs, about infrastructure, about housing, about education, we'll celebrate black women, we'll discuss the challenges confronting and the opportunities when it comes to black men. Make no mistake about it, we are going to send a message to the governor and the legislature when it comes to voting rights, American democracy, black history, and related matters.
Did you ever think in 2023 that you would be fighting for diversity and inclusion after the state of Texas would ban it? Also fighting against book banning in the state of Texas in 2023.
Think of how incomprehensible it is for Texas, a state with the largest African-American population of any state in the Union, the state with one of the largest Latino population of any state in the Union, to somehow close the door on those populations in those communities when it comes to economic opportunity, human dignity, and respect. I don't think I would have comprehended 20 years ago that we'd be fighting this kind of battle today, but fight it we must, and fight it we will, and fight it with vigor, fight it with strength, fight it by building coalitions with people. We will and we must.
And when you say fight, who are the allies now for the Urban League?
There are many allies. So the allies are allies in the business community, some. Allies in the labor community, many. The faith community, many. Allies in the Latino and Asian communities. But the black community has to be its own strongest voice. The black community has to be its own strongest advocate. And the National Urban League is a way for people to express in an organized and, if you will, focused way, but it's also a way we build these coalitions that we need. Democracy, the right to vote, the freedom of speech, the right to learn about your own legacy and history are basic to what this country is. And so this conference is probably the most important we have had in a long time because of the issues that we face.
All right, we thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank
Always
you.
a pleasure to
My
see
pleasure.
you, sir. And still to come on this special edition of The Factor Uncensored, we talk to the leader of the city of Houston, Mayor Sylvester Turner, when we come back. Stay with us.
They are standing up and they are showing up. In the past 2 years, we have not had a convention, but this year, being the year coming back from pandemic, we're coming kicking and scratching. We're coming to send messages not only just to Houston, but all over the world, that we are standing for justice, we are standing for diversity and inclusion, and we are also standing for scholarship. So we want to make for sure that the message goes across the world in our philanthropic efforts to make for sure that we're still being strong in our message and our mission and our drive for making for sure that there's equality all over the country.
And welcome back to this special edition of The Factor Uncensored. We're here at the National Urban League Conference at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Now, we caught up with Mayor Sylvester Turner, who is bringing some very heavyweights to town to make a difference. So, Mayor, how do we highlight Houston for all these visitors? I think about 20,000 people will be here.
Well, number one, they are here. Okay, and number two, people like you are here. And so it's already a win-win. Almost all of the events have been sold out. I mean, look, when you have the top 3 mayors, and if you include me, the top 4 mayors of the largest 4 cities in the United States coming to the city of Houston, and we'll all be on the same stage, New York's mayor, Chicago, LA, that speaks volumes. And it'll be the first time that all 4 of these particular personalities have been on the same stage, and it's happening right here in the city of Houston. You've got CEOs from all over that's going to be in town. Many of the key Biden-Harris administrative cabinet members, directors, department heads will be in town. Already a number of key, powerful economic business players will be here. That's how we showcase the city. And what I've said to Mark Morial, whatever they need, how we can make sure that their stay is a very good one, you know, let us know. So I'm excited. The last time they were here was in 1999.
Wow.
So it's been 24 years since the National Urban League has been in the city of Houston. And they were going to come in 2020 or 2022. But because of COVID, that delayed it. But hey, they're here now.
Absolutely. Now, when you sit down with the other 3 mayors from the major cities, what will be the focus of that conversation?
It's going to be about what our cities are facing, how we are addressing whether it's economic empowerment, whether it's housing, health care issues, homelessness. For Mayor Bass from LA, I would tell you, what's driving her here is not so much the National Urban League Conference. It's the fact that she wanted to come to Houston to see how we were addressing homelessness. Because as she has said, in other places, Houston is the model on how you reduce homelessness in your city. So she's coming, she'll be on the panel, but I will be with her for the next 2 hours going around the city of Houston, visiting the Navigation Center. She'll be over at City Hall in a conference room talking with my people on the steps that we have taken on homelessness. So, you know, so for her, that's why she's coming here. For Mayor Eric Adams, you know, it's the #1 city in the country, 8 million plus people. And so he's coming to the city. We are all learning from one another, which is powerful. Brandon Johnson was just sworn in as mayor of Chicago. So he's the newbie, so to speak, on the block. And so when we sit down, it would be, what are the things that are working in your city? What are the things that need to be addressed better? What are the best practices? How can we learn from one another? It's that sort of collaborative approach. And then from my vantage point, you know, and just coming back from Africa, for example, the people in Africa, they want to see more people from the United States coming to the city of Houston. I mean, coming to Africa. So I'm going to encourage them to go and take their delegations and to go to the African continent, because that's the new future and the new frontier for all of us.
Still to come here on The Factor Uncensored, did you know there was an Urban League office right here in the city of Houston, where we're going to talk to the man who leads that office? Stay with us here on The Factor.
Well, it's all about empowerment, and I think that as we as a society continue to evolve, that we see new ways in which people need to be empowered. It's about education and entrepreneurship, health, housing, jobs, as well as justice. And so those are things that are affecting each and every one of us.
And welcome back to this special edition of The Factor Uncensored. We're here at the National Urban League Conference at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Now, today we had a chance to catch up with the man who leads Houston's Urban League office, and he says there is a lot of work to do in this city and around the state of Texas. So, Mr. Robinson, you have a big weekend in the city of Houston. You have the opportunity to host the national convention here. Is that a big job? What?
It's a great job. It's a great job to have, you know, to have this national platform to talk about all the important issues that are taking place, not only in Texas, but in the country. You know, no better place in Texas and no better place in Houston.
So what are some of the major issues the Urban League has to tackle here in Houston and in our region here in Texas for your organization?
Yeah, I heard Mark Morial mention the other day that gun control is out of control, right? So we've got to find a way to reduce the mortality rate of people, especially young black men. And so how do we do that? Let's have those tough discussions about ways in which we can strategically come together with our funders, our partners, our sponsors, et cetera, and our law enforcement partners to really ensure that we're on the same page. Because this is a national epidemic that we're dealing with. And it doesn't have to be this way, but, you know, let's do the policy. We got to look at policies that impact how we live and how it directs our lives.
And have elected officials been receptive to the Urban League in any attempt to make any changes when it comes to gun control and protecting lives here in the city of Houston?
Well, I think we still have a separation of power, you know, between those that believe we should have more effective gun control laws and those that don't. I think that the Urban League stands more so on the side of trying to have more effective gun control laws. And those who don't feel that way, you know, they don't feel that way. So we've got that challenge. And I think one of the big things we want to do is open the dialogue. We've got to have discussions with people that might be uncomfortable to have those discussions with and have real talk dialogue to make sure that we get into the root of these problems in so many areas.
When it comes to the economy and economics in the African-American community, what's your focus there?
Well, I think making sure that small businesses are successful is a big deal. More and more African-Americans are starting their own businesses. Giving them the tools to be successful in that space, I think is a big part of what we do. We've been doing that for many, many years here in Houston, but making sure that they know what it takes to successfully start, grow, scale, and sell, if they're interested, their business. And there are some fundamental things that you have to do, and we have those fundamental processes in place to help people do that. So this is a great awareness opportunity for our city, for people to know that we have 3 courses that they can take, be it in education, or housing, or workforce, or entrepreneurship, small business development. Those types of things are available to them, thanks in part to our sponsors that help make the Urban League possible.
Of course, this is your weekend to shine. Where will you take people if they want to travel around the city of Houston and your host city? Where would you take them?
Well, first of all, you know, the Alameda Corridor. I mean, everything you want to try to eat and taste and see the flavor and the culture of our city is right down the street. We have some wonderful churches to spend your Sunday on. We've got lots of entertainment venues here in our city. And you pick one, and we can direct you in the right direction.
All right, Mr. Robinson, good to see you, and good luck. You got a busy weekend.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still to come here on The Factor Uncensored, we have a gospel superstar coming your way, and you may know her, Yolanda Adams. Stay with us here on The Factor Uncensored. Welcome back to this special edition of Factor Uncensored. We're at the National Urban League Conference, and what many people didn't realize is a strong bond and working relationship between gospel music artists and civil rights activists. And we sat down with Yolanda Adams to talk about that. For decades, there's been a wonderful working relationship, almost a marriage between civil rights, religion, and music.
Yes.
Do you feel like you have a role to play in that, and are you continuing that tradition?
Thank you so much, Isaiah. It's always good to talk to you. Yes, I do believe that I play a huge part in continuing the legacy of the marriage between gospel music artists with politics and current events, you know, all of the things that have did the civil rights movement, because as you cover all the time, we need these things now today more than ever. And there's a rich history with Mahalia Jackson being there for Dr. Martin Luther King and so many others, singing at different functions, making sure that the spirit of the room was conducive to receiving the message of, you know, civil rights and the message of empowerment. So that's what we do with gospel music, and I just love it.
And the church has always been there for civil rights activists.
Oh, yes.
As they fought and tried to get rights for many people. Do you still see churches doing that today?
Oh, I still see churches, especially the African American churches, doing it. See, in our history, they would go into the basement and have meetings and different things at, you know, pastors' homes and libraries and stuff like that. And now, because of the bigger platforms with social media and things like that, a lot of pastors are taking issues that are, you know, really prevalent in our community, and they're bringing the word out because they have such a huge following. And so if they have such a huge following with their parishioners have a huge following with their friends and their families, so the message gets out maybe quadruple than what it would have in the basement, you know, because they were using the technologies that they had now. But now we're smart and we're using the technologies that we have to empower people and let them know that, you know, there are certain things that we have to deal with, like right now. We have to deal with everyone being equal, everyone having a fair shot. So that means that we got to make sure that young people who are going to school, they have the full opportunity to learn everything they need to know about their history. You know, nobody's history needs to be taken away. Right. All of our history needs to be taught, and for us to be proud of ourselves and where we've come from. We've come from a long line of strong men and women, and so now we have to empower young people to be as strong as their ancestors.
Are you surprised that we're having so many battles in 2023 that we fought long ago, including diversity and inclusion, book banning in schools, issues like that?
I'm disappointed that we're having these issues. I don't think that, you know, this is just by happenstance. I think with every cycle and with every century, we have to make sure that everyone has equal opportunity again for everything, you know, especially young people who come from diverse backgrounds who don't have that leg up or, you know, can pull themselves up by bootstraps that don't exist, like, you know, we heard years ago. And you and I are prime examples of what will happen when you use your tools and talents and keep broadening your perspective and make sure that your neighborhoods, you're giving back to your neighborhoods, you're giving back to people who look like you and people who don't look like you, to make sure that you're including everybody, but making sure that you're taking care of your own.
And finally, how happy are you that the conference is here in your hometown, Houston? You get to show off, right?
First of all, come on now, you know how I feel about Houston.
Yes.
I love Houston. Houston has been my home all my I'll be 62 in a little while, all my 62 years, and I cannot say that there's any other place that I would rather make my home. You know, it's a perfect place. It's a perfect mixture. We're the most diverse city in the world, period. Let me just say that. I can say that because that's how I feel. Now, y'all can argue with your mom. As they say in Louisiana, argue with your mom. But we have such great art. We have such great politics. We have such great sports. We have everything, you know, anything you want, and not to mention the greatest restaurants. So, you know, we're just that inclusive, all-encompassing city, and I just love it. So I am so happy that my friends and my family from the National Urban League are here celebrating this week. Kudos to y'all, and thank you so much.
Still to come here on The Factor Uncensored, a movement to get more black men registered and out voting. Stay with us. And welcome back to this special edition of The Factor Uncensored from the Georgia Brown Convention Center, where the National Urban League Conference is going on. Now, there is a move here to get more black men registered and voting. We talked to the man in charge of that. So when it comes to making sure that African-American men are out there voting, how tough of a job is that for you?
Well, you know, I think it's difficult. I think African-American men sometimes have a difficulty connecting their personal issues to the political process, but that's just the job of organizing, right? It's looking at your local area and saying what needs to be changed and making a plan to make that change from point A to point Z, not just in a political year. We're going to be doing organizing work from 2023 and beyond. And, you know, election year is just a louder version of what's always happening, and that's our philosophy.
And what do you do in order to reach those who may sometimes be unreachable and not willing to hear that message, but it's important to get them in those polls?
Well, I mean, that's our specialty. In the case of black men, we speak their language because we are them. You know, we reach them at the doors through our partnerships with groups like the NFL Players Association. You know, I think it's about understanding you have to meet black men where they are, talk to them about their issues, and then consistently engage with them. Don't just pop up when the election comes by.
Is social media a tool that you guys use often, or is it boots on the ground, face-to-face for the black male to get them to vote?
Well, it's both. I mean, you know, the reality is that we're used to people talking at us, not to us, right?
Right.
And so black men's perspectives are diverse, just as diverse as we are as a diaspora. There's Jamaicans, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Afro-Cubans. Black men come in all shapes and colors, and every organization can make that mistake and sort of generalize. But the key is to see the differences, recognize them, and celebrate them.
For those who are looking at the black male voter, what are their issues? Obviously, there's diversity there, but there should be at least a core of some of the things that they believe in and that they want to focus on and change here in this country. What do you think their top issues would be?
Well, you know, I mean, a lot of African-American fathers find it very important to get support. You know, we are the group of men who care deeply about our children, right? I would also say workforce development. A lot of us work multiple jobs, right? And we want to get a fair wage to do that work. I would add that a lot of us are business owners, right? We want a fair shake. We never wanted anything given to us. We just want the opportunity to compete fairly. So, I mean, we are, you know, African-American men are Americans, right? And our issues aren't that different than other folks, but we just want a fair chance to express those issues. That's why we started a campaign to register 1 million black men to vote called Strength in Numbers. You know, this is a key initiative. It's going to lead from 2023, 2024, and beyond. But the key thing to remember is that getting black men involved in the process means respecting who they are as humans.
And do you see an audience that, or demographic rather, that's tougher to reach than the other? Maybe older black men or younger black men, millennials? Who's the toughest to reach for you?
Well, I'd say for sure, coming out of the pandemic, you know, young African-American men are, we're struggling, right? And just like anyone else, we've been sort of isolated, right? So I just came out of a mental health panel discussing the challenges that we face of being alone and isolated. And I mean, what we're trying to do is build community. We're starting in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and we're gonna have a national strategy to engage these black men. The reality is that we are taught from a young age that we have a responsibility to be a part of the electoral process, but not many organizations have mastered that, and we look forward to working with organizations like Urban League to approach those black men everywhere they exist.
Now, for those who would like to get involved with your organization, to get out there and volunteer, and also those who would like to learn the process, the political process, where should they go? How do they reach you?
You can go to blackmenvote.org. You can also follow us on Black Men Official on Instagram. And look, when you see that ad, when we knock on your door, answer, have a conversation with us, let us know what your issues are, and in the future we hope to have chapters where they can come and make those issues priority for us.
Still to come here on The Factor Uncensored, we talk about the move by the federal government to get black women financially empowered. Stay with us.
The mission of the Urban League remains justice. It remains equity. It remains parity. It's about making this country and, frankly, the world better for all of us. And as the CEO of the Urban League in Oregon, and we serve all of Oregon and Southwest Washington, what we really believe in is creating access and pathways so all of us, every single one of us, regardless of our race, creed, color, gender, age, have access to the things that really can make America the place that we believe in, that shining light on the hill.
Back to the Factor Uncensored. Rita Jo Lewis is the first black female to be appointed to head the Import-Export Bank of the United States of America. And now she's using her power to try and put resources in place for women and minorities. So, Ms. Lewis, how important is it financial empowerment when it comes to women and people of color in this country?
It is exceptionally important. And the reason being is we all know that that's one of the biggest barriers for women to be and minorities if they're going to compete and win, especially in the global marketplace. And so I'm, as the president and chair of Ex-Im Bank, I'm excited to be able to be here at the National Urban League to be able to talk about the tools that we have in order to help assist them to grow their businesses.
And when many people think about getting the financial tools and help they need, they think about local. But there's the federal government there, and you guys have resources available. What would be available for someone who's looking for that help and guidance?
Absolutely. We have to demystify our government agency. We're America's only official export credit agency, and we're there to work to facilitate exports and to help and assist those businesses when they're trying to grow jobs right here in the United States. And so Ex-Im has tools like our working capital support, our working capital loans, our guarantees, our insurance products for companies who are trying to grow into the global marketplace.
And do you see a greater need after coming out of the pandemic?
It is definitely a greater need coming out of the pandemic. The reason being is that we saw so many businesses, they pretty much shut down. But the ones who were exporting, it really showed that they are more resilient. They're the ones who probably were creating jobs. They were ones who were able to make that turn and maybe to even offer additional goods and services that they could export or they could make here in the United States that they would be able to export. And we had Ex-Im financing, COVID financing actually, to assist them to do that.
And do we see that exporting and importing is back at stable levels here in the United States? During COVID, it was a difficult time to get things in and out of this country.
It was a very difficult time, but I can tell you we're doing everything we can to assist our American businesses, large, medium, and small. And when you talk about businesses, at Ex-Im Bank last year, we were on target. We did about $1.6 billion in the small business arena. We did about $389 million. We authorized for women and minorities. We are on track for that in this year. And so we see our businesses coming back and roaring back stronger, and we want to be there to help assist them.
And when you're able to see the results of your work and giving those resources to people in the community and around the country, what is that like for you as head?
You know what? Everywhere I go, I always try to go see, I call it Ex-Im in action. I love going to see our exporters. I love talking to our banks. I love talking to our insurance brokers because they're on the front lines along with our regional team and all of our Ex-Im employees who are there each and every day trying to work with them to provide solutions for them. And so one of the things that's also exciting is that we don't only provide financing tools. We work in the Biden-Harris administration in what we call a whole of government approach. So we constantly are co-located with Small Business Administration, Department of Commerce, USTDA, the Trade and Development Agency, because it's going to take all of us along, not just government, but also private sector collaborating and working together. So when I go out and I meet our exporters and I see them in action and I hear not just the challenges, but the opportunities that they have to sell or their goods and services overseas, to be able to know that Ex-Im has been there walking step by step with them to be able to do that is just such an awesome feeling for me.
We have much more Factor on the way from the National Urban League Conference here at the GRB, and we're going to tell you how they're helping small businesses. Stay with us. And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. We're at the National Urban League Conference here at the Georgia Brown Convention Center. Now, if you have a small business, you may want to show up there Saturday. It will be open to the public. They're providing guidance and resources for those who are in business. Take a look. So, Eric, when we talk about small businesses and their inclusion here at the convention, what can you guys do or guide them? How can you guide them to get them to the next step?
Yeah, Isaiah, so the Small Business Matters is a component of the National Urban League Conference, and it's designed to empower the small businesses that we work with, both locally and nationally. The National Urban League has 13 entrepreneurship centers that have been established to provide small business technical assistance, consultation, one-on-one engagement to facilitate access to capital, procurement with our corporate sponsors who are here as part of the National Urban League Conference, and just to deepen the relationships that we have with small businesses across the country.
How important is it to have that kind of help for small businesses here in Houston and around the country?
Of course, it's critical. We know that during the pandemic, small business origination increased tenfold. And then small businesses were also the economic driver during a down period, globally. So small business development, building capacity so that they can be more successful, helping them to understand how to pivot during a disaster. So e-commerce, e-marketing, how to use technology to amplify their businesses are all assets that we provide through the entrepreneurship centers.
And of course, it goes without saying, it's always tougher for minority-owned businesses. What kind of issues do you guys face in trying to get them the assistance that they need to survive?
Sure. Isaiah, for small businesses that are minority owned, it can be a challenge. Certainly access to capital and financing remain kind of a critical area. But also, it's been an amazing time for small businesses that become certified to do business with the city, other municipalities, here in Houston with Port Houston, the airport system, and others, our corporate sponsors. So it's really twofold. On one side, there's all the significant barriers, but on the other side, all the great opportunities. So again, the National Urban League, the Entrepreneurship Centers, and Small Business Matters is really designed to provide those assets, the technical assistance that create a pathway so that they can be more successful.
For those who are looking for that help, who should they reach out to? Where should they go?
Yes, sir. So they can visit the National Urban League site at nul.org. Small Business Matters, which is Saturday, starting at 9 o'clock at the Marriott Marquis. They can visit the Urban League, Houston Area Urban League site at haul.org. All of that same information is posted. And it's not just about Saturday. It's the services that are going to be offered afterwards. So our Small Business University will continue to be an asset to small businesses here in Houston. And again, just trying to amplify the opportunities with our corporate sponsors that will be here on Saturday.
Remember, if you're a small business, show up here at the conference on Saturday to take advantage of some of those resources. Now, we've also talked to a lot of the attendees here at the conference, and we wanted to hear what they had to say about racism and social injustice. Take a look.
I believe the reason why it's continued because it never stopped. Right, so when you have a culture that has been developed to systematically keep you in situations where it's a rotundum, things to keep being present, and with our legislators that are currently in office, they want to make for sure that it keeps and stays this way.
It affects our society every day. I'm a resident of Texas, and one of the big things that's happened this legislative year is an attack on what they call critical race theory and education in the classroom. Also in Houston, there was a TEA takeover of the Houston School Board, and so it's a huge factor because Houston is one of the biggest and most diverse cities, and so when there are legislation and laws that impact people that look like me, it impacts people all over Houston.
I mean, they're ingrained in our society, right? I think we are making some progress, but it's a slow but steady race, right? Where organizations like the Urban League and the NAACP doing great work, especially this weekend with both of their conferences. We're doing something, we're empowering the people right here, and that's exactly what I look to get from this conference today. It's actually my first one, so I'm looking to learn a lot.
Still to come here on The Factor Uncensored, we talk to a living legend about being honored by the Urban League. Stay with us.
The help of the young professionals, I'm excited that the Urban League, the National Urban League, actually has an emphasis on the young professionals because I think they're the ones that are the driving factors to the new mission for the Urban League, right, and pushing what will be that catalyst for that change. So I think that in 2023 we have a lot to look forward to and a lot to push for that mission.
And welcome back to this special edition of The Factor Uncensored here at the National Urban League Conference. Now, one of the honorees this weekend is a man that's very familiar to us here in the city of Houston, Congressman Al Green. We talked to him about his honor. We have always known the hard work that you do and your commitment to this community and to this country. But now a national organization is recognizing that as well, giving you the Living Legend Award. How is receiving that award for you?
Well, it's exciting. I'm grateful to the many persons who engaged in the process of making the selection. But I accept awards based on this premise that what they say I'm doing, I will do my very best to do because I know that the job is unfinished. We have a lot of work to do, but I am eternally grateful for the award, especially from the Urban League. It's such a well-known and well-respected organization.
Absolutely. And so when you wake up in the morning and you walk through the halls of Congress, do you feel like a legend?
No.
You do to us.
No, I was telling someone just recently that it doesn't seem like I've been here as long as I have. And it doesn't seem as though things have moved the way I thought they would, to be very candid with you. I didn't think we would be fighting battles that we won. We are having to fight voting rights again. That I never thought it was completely settled. But I didn't think that we would find persons trying to take us back to the extent that is taking place here in Congress. I didn't believe that we would have the issues associated with the infiltration of various aspects of our government, our police departments, with persons who are from the very, very far right. These things are an evidence of how somehow we have allowed the extreme views to become more acceptable in mainstream America. And that is very saddening, things that I didn't expect.
Do you see that as more of the work you have to do as a member of Congress and we have to do as individuals who have voting power?
Absolutely. And you're eminently correct. There's work to be done here. Clearly, we have to produce the legislation. But if we cannot pass that legislation, then we have to have help from the general public. My hope is that we can get a Congress that will understand that the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is something that is necessary for all people to have the right to vote, and that we can pass legislation that will make sure that we'll get police protection that will protect all people without some people being stopped for a mud flap violation, as you saw in the news recently, and then having a dog put upon them. I would hope that we can get a Congress that could pass this. But if we can't, then we have to have people to help us get a Congress that can do it. Because before you can pass any law, you've got to have the act of Congress that will pass in the Congress of the United States of America.
What do you hope, most importantly, to achieve in Congress before, at some point, when, and it's far down the road though, but what do you hope to achieve in Congress before you say, I've done my job?
Well, first, let me just tell you, having been a president of the Houston NAACP for some 10 years and a litigator, person who served as a small claims court judge, I believe that we have to do something about the gap in income, the gap in wealth in this country. And I think to do that, we have to have the persons who are the economic foundational mothers and fathers of the country properly respected and recognized. These were the enslaved people who worked for more than 240 years, free labor, so that America could have this great foundation that it resides on today. They have to be properly respected. And right now we revere the enslavers and we revile the enslaved. That has to change. They must be respected just as we respect the victims of the Holocaust. We respect the persons who were victims at 9/11, victims at Pearl Harbor. They have to be respected too. And my desire is to see this happen. And for it to happen, I think we'll have to have a Department of Reconciliation, a department devoted to dealing with the chasms that separate us in this country. Just as we have a Department of Education, Labor, and Commerce, others, we need the same thing for reconciliation. I'd like to see that happen in my lifetime or while I'm in Congress, if possible.
And we want to thank you for joining us tonight on The Factor Uncensored. Remember to follow us on social media and, of course, download the Fox Soul app. That'll do it from the National Urban League Conference. Have a great one.